Do you like this top? It's so gay.
Really?
Yeah, it's totally gay.
You know, you really shouldn't say that.
Say what?
Well, say that something's gay when you mean it's bad. It's insulting. What if every time something was bad, everybody said, "Oh, that's so girl wearing a skirt as a top"?
Oh, you are.
Those are cute jeans, though. When you say that's so gay, do you realize what you say?
Comedy, mushroom, cult, podcast. Let's make sure that the levels is good. Oh, yeah, that's good. Oh, that's that good stuff. How we feeling? Happy Pride Month. If everything went how it's supposed to with our little ramshackle internet support team here at Studio Whir, then you got the greatest ally of our time, Hillary Duff, reminding you that you shouldn't say things are gay when you mean they're bad, because that's mean. It's also fun to say. I mean, yes, it's mean and it's not right to like take on somebody's sexual identity as like a slur of some sort, or saying it as a way for something's lame. I mean, you shouldn't say lame either, because that means somebody's limb doesn't work. Something uncool. I mean, you shouldn't say uncool, because I mean, it's hip to be square. I mean, you really shouldn't say anything about anything ever. You should just accept everything for the way it is. But specifically this month, and all the time, I mean, don't call things gay, unless you're doing it on purpose. Like, I understand, like, this is a very strange way to start this episode during Pride Month, but trust me, it'll come back around. Unless you're doing it on purpose. Like, when it's like a cultural thing to call things gay that aren't cool, that's a problem. But if you're doing it with like the specific intent to like, hey, I know I should not be using this, but to really strike it through that I'm, one, not taking it seriously, two, it's kind of unnecessary that this thing is difficult, or it is like one of those things that like you just need, you're with friends and you need to accentuate it. It's like throwing an exclamation point on a text message just to prove that it's the all caps. It's how you do it in a real life conversation between friends. It's how you all caps with an exclamation mark of, I'm just being whiny and I need you to know that I don't like that. You can be like, well, that's gay. And you get 2 a year. How about that? I mean, obviously you don't want to do it. I'm not saying that you should do it, but like, that's where words have their uses. Like, am I guilty of in the past? Now, believe it or not, I've not always been a perfect person. I'm currently not a perfect person. But, you know, you get better, you learn, times change. You don't want to, like, forgive and forget, but you forgive and you remember and you move on and you learn life lessons, and you keep everything rolling there. But, like, you get moving, and, like, it's that old conversation of, like, we're going to use the F slur real quick. No, we're not going to use the F slur. We don't have to use the F slur because, you know, we're talking educationally, intellectually. We're not talking like we're in Boston. You know, I don't have to say it. I'm not Matt Damon, who needs his son to tell him that he shouldn't be saying that word in 2017 or whenever he learned not to say that word. I'm talking about 2008. So I learned 9 years before Matt Damon did. So shout out me on the learning curve there. Is it the learning curve? We could call this the learning curb, because if you get it wrong, you're going to get curb stomped by people in rainbow fucking A shirts if you're out there using the F slur. So we'll call this the learning curve. We're gonna make sure that your teeth stay intact, because you don't need an American history LGBTQ. Oh, that'd be a fun remake. Can we make American History X with American History LGBTQ plus, where instead of fucking Edward Norton being a skinhead, it's just like a militant group of lesbians, which do exist. I know a group in Kent, Ohio, that of a militant group of lesbians that were going around just beating up straight girls, which, like, on paper, I mean, when you speak of it in this context, sounds pretty hardcore, which is kind of cool. But, I mean, they're being dangerous, so, I mean, don't be dangerous. But, I mean, if you're going to be dangerous, do it, like, in a cool way. Just, like, get a band of just, like, angry gay people and let them go wild on a town. Like, that's what they should do for Pride Day, instead of a fun parade where everybody has a good time. And we'll get back to the F-slur thing, I promise. We'll circle back. But for Pride, it should be the Purge, like, whatever day that is in your city, and gay people should, like, how people travel to the fucking Pride parades in different towns to celebrate. They'll be like, I'm going to fucking Birmingham Pride, which, I mean, sounds like a WNBA team. The Birmingham Pride, sign me up. But, like, you're going to that one, you're going to the Cleveland one, you're going to the Cincinnati one. You just go on this big tour of, like, purging, but, like, maybe not killing people, but, like, you get to kick white men in the nuts, or, like, white straight men in the nuts. And I say that as a white straight man. Like, if you're on that day in Pride, you just get to, with impunity, kick straight white men in the nuts. I think that's fair. I think that's reparations. I think we just made a step forward in the gay-straight alliance here. But no, using the F-slur, like, you don't say it, you don't use it, but, I mean, when you're trying to, like, it's that old, like, yeah, when I say the F-slur, I don't mean gay, I mean something stupid, which, like, is, yes, that's wrong, and it's bad, and, like, I understand that we're not supposed to do it. But from time to time, if you're trying to put an accentuation on something, I mean, I've seen gay people do it, where they'll just, like, and I mean, it's their words that they can use, it's been used against them for forever, then you can, like, they'll do that, and it's funny every single time. Every time when it's used when you know it shouldn't be used. And I mean, I hang out with comedians and comics, so, like, if you're in, like, the real world, and you're like, hey, this comedian says we should be able to do this. One, you're fucking stupid. Two, like, anytime somebody's like, well, this comedian said it, so it should be okay. Don't act like that. We don't act like that. And, like, I mean, we do around each other in the real world and on, like, we're fucking clowns. We get to, like, we're the people who get to say the thing to the king that you're not allowed to say, because we're better at it than you, alright? Like, there's some skill to it. So if a gay comic calls me the F-slur, it's funny every time. Every single time. Sorry, I don't make the rules. I just live in the world where it's funny. Or when somebody tries to step in and use it, and then, like, kind of looks at their gay friend to see if it was okay if they used it, and it wasn't. Still funny. Whether it's the right use of it or the wrong use of it, it's funny every time. And so you just gotta use it as the exclamation point. I mean, don't use it in your regular life. Like, don't be at work and just, like, whip it out and call your boss an F-slur. You can't do that. But I mean, if you do, it's gonna be funny, and then they're gonna fire you. So, like, then you'll be another F word. You'll be fired. But yeah, it'll be funny. So, I mean, make it worth it, but, like, obviously don't. But no, welcome to Pride Month. It's exciting. Pride Month is fun here. In my life, the YouTube got just an incredible look, because it's June. I mean, it's the first month of the summer, when stand-up stuff starts slowing down because people are wanting to be outside. Summer is always super fucking rough. It's one of those things that I have to remind myself of every summer when I see that I have, like, 4 or 5 book dates on a month instead of, like, 15 or 10 or 20, or, you know what I mean? Like, this in July, a little rough, but you know what? Like, it's part of the summer. You get to go outside, enjoy yourself, not just sit in dark fucking comedy clubs or like shitty bars that work as comedy clubs. You get to be out in the sun. It's great. It's the beginning of summer. And so, I mean, Pride Month, it really kicks off the summer, which is kind of fun. I don't know. Did they choose June? I should look. I know that like it started as like a riot and people going after the cops for breaking up protests and stuff like that. I understand that history of it. But I mean, like, Mother's Day. They didn't, like, somebody had to pick that day. Like, Pride Month. I get it. I mean, I guess June would be a good one. Like, if I'm gonna be in short shorts and fucking leather straps and just, like, running around half naked in a parade, I feel like June's the first time you can really do it all over the country. Yeah, I mean, it's mostly, because, I mean, it's going to be like 70-something today. It's Wisconsin. We're, like, behind on summer. So I think it's going to be 70-something today. This would be a nice day. As long as there's not, like, a bad breeze. You could just pull off some, like, cheap plastic sunglasses that say Pride 2024. You can pull off, like, some short shorts. You can walk around in bike shorts with, like, your nipples hanging out and stuff. Like, you could pull it off. Like, this is the best weather for it. But, I mean, it doesn't... I also think that it's... You know what? You're right. June is the best month. Because if you're running around on a parade, probably drinking a little bit, maybe having some fun with a little bit of ecstasy, maybe some Molly, you know? Some uppers. You're having a good time. You're feeling the music. You're in the parade. You're dancing in the streets. The streets are for cars, not for you to dance. Like, you're in a place. You're like, hey, we're pulling it off. This is our month. June's the perfect one because it gets warm but not too hot, and you need to stay hydrated. So you know what? Like, shout out June for Pride Month. They pulled that off. But there are some weirdos, like my neighbor who's schizophrenic, who like walks around still in jeans and like a heavy long sleeve shirt. Like, think of everything that you saw Kanye West wearing in 2007, like the baggier pants, baggy long sleeve polo shirt that's like heavy, like that knit where you know there's layers under it. Like, he's wearing that right now and walking around, and like that to me, and I mean, it's only 66 degrees out, it's not anything crazy, but just looking at the phone here, sorry, I got a text message. The children at my girlfriend's school, she works at like a predominantly African American school, and she is doing a field trip to the Shed Aquarium with them today. So she's taking some Milwaukee kids down to Chicago, and they're going to look at some fish, which is, I mean, arguably great. They should record children looking at fish all the time. But especially black children who have never seen something like that. And they are all, like, and I met them all. This is not like black children are entertaining because they're different. These children would make, like, TikTok news seeing, like, an aquarium for the first time. And I know that it's their first time because they're poor. They're disenfranchised youth. We're some of the good white people who, like, help spread the light of the world to the darker recesses of every city that we go to, because we want to make sure that everybody knows that they're welcome. But no, like, they're going down and they're like listening to Kendrick Lamar on the way down, and it's just like, hey, do they not have a Kids Bop version? I understand that, like, this is music, but you're also on a school trip, so maybe don't. But I mean, school trips, I mean, I guess football is different. Like, we would have to take a bus to football practice every day. Like, we would get changed into our, no, we wouldn't. We would get, yeah, so it would be, you leave school, and then you would go to the locker room where all of your shit was in there. Or did we have to change and then go? I don't remember, but, like, we would be riding the bus, and that was when From the Windows to the Walls came out, and, like, we're just singing, to the windows, to the walls, so the sweat dropped down my balls, drip down, whatever. If you know Ying Yang Twins lyrics in 2024 off the top of your head, 1, grow up, 2, get a different job than stripping, 3, get off my ass. But, like, and sex work is work, too, but, like, that's the only place that is still listening to Yin Yang songs, Yin Yang Twin songs, unless you're mentally unwell. But yeah, like, it wasn't a good look, but like, adults let us do it. So I guess whatever, listen to Kendrick Lamar. At least they'll learn some other smart shit in there. I don't even, oh yeah, but long sleeves. That's how you kind of know that somebody's mentally unwell, is when they're like, it's 65. So I take it back for him. But like, the other day I went over to a friend's house who's going through some stuff, and like, he's in like I'm in shorts and a t-shirt because it's hot out, and like sunglasses because the sun's out. It's like a good 70, 75, and he's in like a long sleeve, like wool, like long sleeve shirt, not like a sweater, but like a long sleeve wool, I don't know what they're called, just a long sleeve tee and jeans, and it's just like, why the fuck are you just sitting out here in the sun in fucking hot ass clothes? Like, that's when you know that somebody's unwell. And I know that because of my schizophrenic neighbor and hanging out with psychopaths my entire life. Like, if you can't feel your body sweating and screaming at you to not wear that hot of clothing, then there's something up with your brain. But whatever. Pride Month. Yeah, perfect weather. I mean, you can wake up in like it's the perfect weather for a parade. You can wake up, you can wear, perfect. You can have like your little skimpy, whatever you're going to wear in the parade, male, female, bisexual, otherwise, I mean, I know bisexual, non-binary is what I meant. Don't fucking kill me. But also, bisexuals, sit this one out. All right? Like, let the actual gay people have something. Now, if you're actually, not saying if you're actually bisexual, because, like, sexuality is a spectrum. If we all agree sexuality is a spectrum, and you say you're bisexual, but you still date just an average-looking person from the opposite sex, sit this one out. The fucking bisexual girls who have been like, I've never dated a girl before, but that's just because I'm afraid. Like, we're all afraid to date women, all right? Either you're into women or you're not. We're all terrified of them. As a straight male, like, speak to even, like, the most fucking, I fuck bitches all the time. They're terrified to talk to women. And they may not say it, but that's I fuck bitches all the time. They're terrified of connecting with a woman because they're afraid of women. All right? Women are scary. You're not bisexual. You just think girls are hot. Everybody thinks girls are hot. I'm not bisexual. I think there's certain dudes that are hot. Everybody's hot. Okay? Sexuality is a spectrum. Just because you would have sex with them once doesn't mean that you're unless you can sit down and think about having the next 30 years of your life with that person, eating and drinking and having them fucking sleep next to you and all the weird smells that you guys involve with each other and fucking just fighting all, like, when you're going through bad times, stuck in a car with somebody for 12 hours, like, unless you're willing to do all that other shit, you're not bisexual. You're just a fucking somebody who thinks other people are hot. So let's let the real gay people have June. I don't know if that's controversial or not, but it just seems like, let's cut with the nonsense. You're not bisexual. You just don't have any other qualifier of getting attention. Okay, come up with something cool and new. Like, learn how to fucking play the fucking flute or something. It worked for Lizzo. She had fat, black, and played the flute. She had too many things. You're a young white girl who lives in the fucking city. All right. Learn something cool. Learn how to, like, roller skate or something. Be that girl. Walk around with, like, fucking glow sticks on your backpack. Like, do some Asian shit. Like, you don't have to just, like, say that you think girls are hot. Like, yeah, girls are hot. Alright, we get it. Weird. The only other thing I'm going to be intolerant of this month, because we're open, we love it. And if you're really bisexual, congratulations. And it's Reagan Nimala has a really funny joke about how she's bisexual, but then she'll have, like, sex with other people too, and then somebody who's younger will call her pansexual, and she says, sure, maybe I am, but I'm also not annoyed. Like, it's a very funny joke, and she obviously tells it better, and it's, like, more nuanced. But, like, that's the whole thing. But no, like, if you're, I mean, you grew up in you're probably, if you're actually bisexual, you're probably gay, and enjoy yourself. Have a good life. And if you end up living with a fucking 6 of the opposite sex, congratulations. You're just gonna chase that dragon the whole rest of your life. Just be you. Just be who you are. Be who you say you are. Be who you feel like you are. Take a swing at it. Girls are always scary for everybody, okay? It's just a fact of life. If women weren't so scary, probably 99% of the world's problems wouldn't exist. We'll leave it at that. We'll leave that as a gray area. We don't need to unpack that anymore. But yeah, I don't know. The only other thing I'm going to be intolerant of is I'm taking a tolerance break from weed, and maybe even just like a habit break. It's certain things come into your life, and you just, like alcohol for me. I would drink every single day. I would take a few days off, go back to it, and hit it like real hard. I would take months off. But like weed's something where like it sneaks up on you a little bit because it's fun. Like that's the best part about weed, is it is fun. Like it opens up your brain, it relaxes you. I use it at night to shut my brain down. I think we talked about it at like last episode of like not working high and all that stuff. But just like from time to time, you got to take a break. Just because you got to make sure that you're not doing things as like, hey, this is what I look forward to at the end of the day, is my glass of whiskey to fucking calm down, or like my fucking piece of cheesecake at the end of the day because that's my treat for making it through the day. Like sometimes you just need to make sure you're doing things to do things and not just out of habit. So, we're taking a tolerance break for a little bit. It'll be super fun because like I already don't sleep great. And that's the biggest thing, is like it helps me get to sleep at night. So we're gonna probably ride in the Benadryl train. It also doesn't help that like I'm back working at the coffee shop and they scheduled me an opening shift. So like I have to wake up at 4:30 in the morning after doing a mic tonight. So it's like stuff like that that weed helps with, where it gives you like that little bit of like fuck it to help you get through some hard times, and then it's like not habit forming, so that's kind of nice, because like a certain level of fuck it's important, and I think I maybe like hit like too far on the fuck it lately. We're moving, things are grooving, we need to like put some stuff together, especially if there's not a bunch of shows going on. Like this is the time to like sit down, do a bunch of writing, do a bunch of work, and weed helps with like creation and doing stuff like that. But I've got 1,000 notes in my fucking phone and in my notebook that like I can work on with a clear head and a clear mind and put together and help do that. Like high thoughts are great. They're like buried in there. They're good for you. But like you need to put them together in like a cogent way. And if you're spending a little bit too much time in the real world high, then like your view's a little skewed. So you got to like wrap it up. Not everybody, like if somebody listened to my high jokes or like the things I came up with when I was high while they were high, they would love it. If they're a little smart and enjoy weed or any other sort of like drug, you're going to like it. But it's getting all the other people to kind of get into it as well. So like, unfortunately, stoned people don't do a very good job of showing up to do things or spending money on supporting art. All right, we have that. But like, it's also like, not everybody's watching shit while they're high, and you're not fucking you're not Mitch Hedberg. Like when you're doing the fucking, oh, I'm Mitch Hedberg, fucking. They asked me if I wanted a frozen banana, and I didn't, but I want a banana later, so I said yes. And it's like, yeah, okay, like that's a great high joke. But do you know why it's a good regular joke? Is because he sat down and wrote it so like a person could do it. Like if he just went to his high buddy and was like, hey, I bought a frozen banana because I wasn't hungry for bananas earlier, but I am now. How's that work out, right? Like that's a funny situation that you can sit and laugh at stoned. Or like you're just sitting there and you're like, I have this frozen banana, and your high friend's like, what's that for? And you go, oh, I wanted a regular banana later. You know what I mean? Like that's for high people. But like taking that high thought, whittling it down for not high people, that's what you got to do. Green drank. But no, this is exciting. It'll be a fun little break from that. Other than that, not too much exciting going on. Got to figure out moving, working a lot, hitting mics, reading books about time. I was talking about it, and another high thought. All right, this is when you need to calm it down a little bit, but I think I might actually do it at some point. And it's like on my like board of things to do, on my vision board. I'm gonna put figuring out time, because it's kind of a mystery to everybody. Like, we understand it's what happens on the clock. We know that it's all relative. We know that the real world isn't so real, because everybody is... I have a fucking hair on my glasses. It was driving me insane. But we realized that, like, the world is different for everybody, because your brain works on, like, even though it's like milliseconds, it works on a delay, because it has to go into your eye. Like, the light has to come off of something, then it has to hit your eyes, and it has to hit your brain. Your brain has to process it and then tell you how to see it. We're all working on like a fucking live television delay kind of situation, right? So what does that mean for regular time? So, like, we all agree, like, the time on our phone is what time it is. We have, like, the atomic clock wherever in Greenwich Village or in fucking Greenland time, whatever the fucking thing is, okay? We've got that standard. That's the time. But, like, they just, like, add and subtract seconds whenever they need to fit. Like, it's all based off of the Earth spinning. But, like, that's not, like, a real... Like, time's not a real thing. So I would like to sit down and, like, figure out, like, the whole time situation. Because I'm reading a book about time travel, and it's maybe the one that makes the most sense that I've read so far. Insofar that they, like, the machine that they have, they send people to, like, alternative timelines. So it's not based on their timeline. The only thing based on their timeline is that they set that the time machine exists, and then they send the other guy to the other timeline, right? That's how that works. Where in this book, they come up, like, the first time machine only sends them to the other timeline. And it all happened because they were trying to, like, this is how I think it would actually work out too. They find a time machine because they're trying to make instant delivery, where, like, once you order something, they can get it to you almost instantly. Like, they can put the box into, like, the machine, and it, like, shows up in your apartment, because you can buy something on Amazon really quick, but it still takes 2 days if it's in the factory or in the warehouse closest to you, right? That's the real world. What they wanted is to make sure that you could, like, oh, okay, you wanted this, you bought it, there's, like, a thing on it, it'll be delivered to you instantly. Cool. But then they found, like, to move matter from one thing to the next, they, like, accidentally send it into a different place in time, but on a different timeline. How they figured that, great, who cares? Like, that kind of makes sense that you would fall into it. But then they, like, revise it to, like, okay, this is the new one where we can go back in our time and fix things, and to, like, make sure that, like, this thing happens. This lady sends, like, herself back. It's a wild timeline, okay? But it makes the most sense to me, because, like, at some point you need somebody to go and make sure that you don't fuck it all up. And to, like, make sure you don't fuck it all up, you have to make sure you see it. It's a very interesting thing. And, like, they don't go back in time themselves. Like, when they think of going back in time, they, like, all agree that they're gonna do this, and then at some point that meant that they sent it. So then, like, they like check this box, like, they find this marker, and they're like, okay, well, then we need to send it back to this time. So, like, they can kind of, like, nail it in that way. So to me, that makes the most sense. But it still makes zero sense, right? Like, me talking like this sounds like an insane person. But, like, sometimes in your brain, like, when you're recalling a memory, when you're walking in fall and you smell the crisp leaves, it might take you back to, like, a moment in time. Like, and you're telling me that's not real. Like, you can feel the sensation. You can, like, you remember exactly where you were at. You remember exactly how you felt. You, like, your disposition changes, and, like, almost you change to being back to that person at that time. So is that not, like, some sort of time travel? So, like, it's gotta be, like, time's gotta be in our brain, because, like, that's how we keep track of everything. And I mean, especially now where my schedule's all fucked up. Like today's Monday. I know today's Monday, but, like, when you're in the middle of, like, a, like, stressful time, and you've got like a bunch of shit going on, or you're traveling a bunch and you're like, oh wait, well, like what day is it again? You have to like wake up and like remember what day it is and remember what you have to do that day. Like, there's something in your brain that, like, without the clock or the watch or anything, like, you wouldn't know. Like, the day doesn't really matter. You just know where you're at in any sort of flow in the river of time. So, like, is time the markers that we put on it? Like, did time not exist? I know that, like, the Mayans had calendars, but that was mostly, like, figuring out when to plant shit. Like, that's important. We need to know that. But now, especially in, like, the modern world, where, like, there's not, most of us, like, farmers, sure, astronauts, I guess, like, scientists need to, but, like, a normal person, other than, like, watching their kids grow up, figuring out when you need to be at school or at work, like, is there really a need for, like, actual time and measurement when it's kind of all happening at the same time, but, like, not on, like, a linear thing, because everybody's time is different. And you might be on a plane for a little bit, so, like, that speed, like, how does it catch up? Like, at what points does it, like, all figure out where everybody's at the same time? And what does that mean in space? Like, how people's ages are fucking different and shit. Like, that's a real relative thing, so time works on people. It's just, you know, time. We gotta sit down and figure it out. So, like, person X, time handles, and then, like, maybe I need to learn physics to do that, which that's probably not gonna happen then. Because, like, it's too late for physics. Maybe. Who knows? Albert Einstein was a patent clerk. Fucking, I don't know. Like, Tesla, I don't know if he was... Like, what makes you a scientist? Do you just have to go to college? Like, I have my bachelor's degree in political science. I'm a scientist in some sort. Like, I feel like Einstein was just, like, self-taught. Like, he was, like, a high school dropout or some shit. And he fucking figured it out. Like, cool. He, like, did the math and, like, figured it out. But, like, he still figured it out. So, like, I don't know. Maybe I could figure it out. What a weird podcast. This really had it all for everybody, but we're over the 30 minutes. Let's see if we get a fucking copyright strike on YouTube. If so, then fuck it, whatever. It's a commercial. It says everything in it. But no. whoisrayroberts.com. For dates and all that, I updated it last week. At Who is Ray Roberts on the Instagrams and Venmo and Cash App. Join the Patreon, rate, review, subscribe, like all of that other bullshit. But otherwise, have a happy week, have a happy Pride, and you're all doing wonderfully. Thank you much. Goodbye.